How to defend three-point shooters. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Shooting for the stars and my aim good. They said I wouldn't make it, I just knew I would. Fresh from out the mud, now my shine bright. Now they see my name flashing under brighter lights.
It's no secret that over the last 5 to 10 years, the go-to basketball weapon on offense has been the three-point shot. And for the foreseeable future, that's going to continue to be the case. Now, most basketball players focus on how to become one of the best three-point shooters in the game to shoot the three as efficiently as they can. What doesn't seem to be talked about as much is how to play defense against those shooters. Because if that's the go-to weapon on offense, you have to be able to defend it efficiently to be the best kind of player you can be out here. So today we're going to talk about the different kinds of three-point shooters and the best ways I can think of to defend them. So first of all, I'm saying three-point shooters, but what I actually really mean is three-point scorers, because you could have a shooter who's a high volume shooter, shoots a lot, but they don't necessarily make a lot of their shots. That doesn't really matter if they're shooting a lot and not scoring. They're not of much consequence. What I'm referring to are three-point shooters who shoot the ball, shoot the three a lot, and also are very efficient at doing so. So let's start with what I come across most commonly out here at the court. The most kind of three-point shooter you'll come across out here is someone who shoots the three well, but only under certain circumstances. So let's see. There are different kind of situations and circumstances in which three-point shooters shoot the ball. So you have the players who dribble the ball to set up their three-point shot. You have players who are catch and shoot shooters, so they catch a pass and shoot the ball at the three-point line and score relatively easily doing that. You have three-point set shooters, meaning they set up for the three at the three-point line. They have time to set up their shot. So those players kind of have to be open for a little bit of while to have a little bit of a window to set up their three-point shots, but when they do so, they're really good at shooting the three. And then you have the shooters who can shoot coming off of screens, whether that means them dribbling over the screen and then shooting, or having a catch and shoot, running around the screen, catching the ball, and then shooting the three. So those are the major kind of circumstances and situations you're going to find when it comes to three-point shooters out here at the park. It's most common in my experience that those three-point shooters are only good in one or maybe two of those situations. I think of those players as like situational three-point shooters. The best way to defend them is to figure out what situations they use in order to be a good three-point shooter, and then do the best you can to limit those situations from happening. If you can take away their situations that they go to in order to shoot those threes, then you don't have to even defend those shots. So you take away the situation, thus you take away the shot, thus you've taken away their greatest weapon. Say, for example, a player is best at shooting the three when they have the ball in their hand and they dribble in order to set up their shots. A lot of players are like that. A lot of players will establish a rhythm by dribbling the ball, and then when they feel it's time, they'll then pull up for their three, and if they do it right, if they're good shooters, they will make the majority of their shots. Say, for example, in other situations, they're just not that good. They're not good catch and shoot shooters. They're not good at coming off screens. For whatever reason, they may not even be good set shooters. But when they dribble, they set up that rhythm for themselves, and because of that, now they're pretty good three-point shooters coming off the dribble. In that particular situation, it is your job to disrupt that dribble. So if they can't get a good dribble going to establish a good rhythm, then they're not going to be able to shoot the ball nearly as well as they usually would. It's up to you to get close to them, to get your hand in there to try to disrupt their dribbling ability as much as you can so that they can establish that rhythm in the first place. If they can't establish that rhythm, then they're not going to be able to shoot the ball the way they're normally used to, and they're not going to be as effective. Same thing with any other circumstance for them trying to shoot a three. If you take away their ability to set up the situation that they feel most comfortable shooting in, then you're going to take away their greatest weapon. It's up to you to figure out what situations are they most comfortable in, which is probably their go-to situations to shoot those threes. Figure out what you need to do in order to take those situations away, or at least make them as uncomfortable for them as possible, and then by doing so, you'll disrupt their three-point shooting ability. What is less common, though it seems to be becoming more and more common, especially even out here at the park, is an overall good shooting three-point shooter, meaning they can pretty much shoot the ball and shoot it well from any of those circumstances. The general consensus for defending those kind of shooters has always kind of been just like, you can only do the best you can, and really that's the best you can do. That's all you can do against good overall shooters. However, I like to take it a step further, which is my general idea, for me at least, when that happens to me and you're just facing an overall good player that doesn't seem to have any glaring weaknesses. For me, I like to think of it as like, I'm not on defense, I'm not playing defense. For me, my mindset has always kind of been, I'm kind of never on defense. Like, I'm always on offense. It's just half of the time I don't happen to have the ball in my possession. And so when you find yourself trying to defend just a general overall good three-point shooter, I like to attack those players, attack them. So for me, the way I approach it is, okay, most shooters are right-handed. They shoot with their right hand. And especially the farther they get away from the basket, the less ambidextrous they become, meaning the more likely they are to shoot with their dominant hand. And when you're shooting a three-pointer, right, you're having to generate a lot of power, a lot of strength in order to shoot that three, especially further from the basket that you get. Which means setting up your jumper, your mechanics become even more important. When they're setting up their jump shot, bringing the ball up along this path, right? If they can't get the ball through this path to bring it up to start their jump shot, they can't shoot their jump shot effectively. That then puts the onus on you to take this path away. Do whatever you can, whatever you have to disrupt this path. Essentially, that means the whole right side of that player that you're defending, that is now your target. So you're gonna do whatever you can, whatever you have to make this motion for them uncomfortable, which in general means you're gonna have to get close to them. You're gonna have to touch them. You're gonna have to get whatever body part you can in this ball path so that they can't bring the ball up. That of course comes with the consequence that you're gonna be very close to them, meaning if they cross you over, if they dribble around you, right, it's going to be fairly easy for them to get past you and get to the basket. Because the closer you are to defending a player, especially the further away from the basket they are, the better chance for them to lose you, to cross you over or pull some kind of dribble move or even a footwork jab step move or whatever on you to get you off balance. Then they go around you and penetrate the lane. You're kind of making the choice to force them to not shoot the three, right? So they're giving up the three, but in order to do that, you're letting them kind of get to the basket. But if they're a three-point shooter and they're shooting the lights out and they're just torching you up and down the court, shooting all kinds of threes and destroying your team, you got to make some kind of a change, and if that means giving up the lane, then you got to do what you got to do. It's also on your teammates to be aware and recognize the situation. So if your teammate sees that three-point shooter is just taking you to school and shooting three-pointer after three-pointer, making three-point shots on you, and you've been playing off them, relatively far away, and now you're playing close to them, right? It's on your teammates to recognize that and know that you've put yourself at a disadvantage where it's very likely that three-point shooter is now going to dribble around you and get to the basket. Thus, that means your teammates are going to have to come over and rotate and defend that player. That's on your teammates to recognize that situation. Now, if your teammates don't understand that, if they don't get that concept, if they don't have that skill yet, that experience yet, now it becomes on you to sort of teach them, to educate them. Even if it is mid-play, mid-game, it's on you to teach them. I would expect you to do that because I expect you to be the most hardcore, dedicated streetball player out here. Thus, you probably should, and you definitely should, you should understand the concept of rotating on defense when a play like that happens. So maybe your teammates don't understand what that means. It's on you to educate them, teach them as well as you can within the flow of the game of how to play defense like that. Also, when you're so close to that three-point shooter and you're trying to make as much contact as you can to disrupt his shooting path, don't be afraid to make contact and foul him. Now, I'm not telling you to intentionally foul him because nobody likes that guy. Don't be the guy that's intentionally fouling because the person you're defending is noticeably, significantly better than you, and so the only way you can defend him is to be constantly fouling him. Don't be that player, don't be that guy, but also don't be afraid to make contact. Ultimately, it's on that shooter to make the foul call. It's on him to call his own fouls. And or it's on him to, if you don't make that much contact, it's on him to follow through and take the shot regardless of you making contact and still finishing anyway. But if you're getting killed by a three-point shot over and over again, you got to do what you got to do to defend it. If that means making a little bit of contact here and there, you got to do whatever you can to disrupt that shooting path. That's how to defend three-point shooters, especially out here at the park. Also try to think about it from your own perspective. If you yourself are a three-point shooter, if you like shooting the three, what would it take for a defender to disrupt your shooting rhythm? It doesn't take much to throw off a three-point shot when you're defending it because you have to be so accurate. The further and further away you get from the basket, it's harder and harder to compensate mid-jump shot when you're shooting a three. So it doesn't take much to be a good three-point defender, but in today's time when so many people are shooting so many threes and so many of them are becoming better and better all the time, you want to try to make as much of a difference to make them as uncomfortable as you can when it comes to them shooting the three and you defending it. This should be a good exercise in you kind of analyzing the offense and finding where their weaknesses lie and then figuring out how to use their weaknesses against them. You can do that when it comes to them shooting threes. You can do that when it comes to any other part of their offensive games as well. But the point is, you should be constantly strategizing against the offense and trying to determine the best way to defend them. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, if you think it's going to help you defend three-point shooters better, then please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that thanks button down below. When you hit that thanks button, it directly supports the channel. It makes all of your comments below stand out. It highlights all of your comments. So whenever you do that, you get that perk, and it directly supports the channel, and everyone that does that know I sincerely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any of my videos go live, and until then, I'll see you guys next week.
I'm on a mission, I got the ambition, I swear that my drive is different. Nobody can stop it, nobody will top it, I promise the fire is lit. I'm with a squad, we all on a job, I swear that we grinding too harder. We came from the mud, we're fresh as the